The Caribbean has always been viewed by the world as a place of diverse cultures in the diaspora. The sandy beaches that extend into deep seas are only a small sample of the natural resources, such as reef systems that protect coastlines and the abundance of marine life, and forests that provide food sources for our people who number over 27 million. But the citizens of CARICOM nations are the guardians of the region's most precious resources, and changes in our planet are shifting the dynamics of the relationship between fisher and sea, student and education, governance and infrastructural development, and also life and living as we know it because of the changes in global climate. The regional response is action-oriented, and the mobilization is being led by the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center, 5Cs. The achievements are due to the coordination, collaboration, and partnerships that have included governments, environmental groups, and educational institutions. A recent partnership consisting of the European Union, Global Climate Change Alliance, Eugcca program was funded with 8 million euros and has come to a successful conclusion. The Eugcca project, over a 42-month period, was expanded to end December 2015. It was supported by member countries of the Caribbean Forum through the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center. Most of the funds were invested in adaptation and mitigation, renewable energy, while focusing on climate modeling, data nodes, training and capacity building, implementation of data collection equipment for weather and ocean monitoring, and also assisting countries with vulnerability and capacity assessments, and in preparation of national adaptation strategies and action plans.
In terms of mitigation, we are focused mainly on providing renewable energy to one indigenous community in Dominica. We have provided them with solar panels to provide lighting and other power uses for their houses and businesses and public offices. What we have done over the last 4+ years is to provide support to the climate scientists to do research in the use of regional climate models to help do projections as to what the climate in the Caribbean will be in 2030, 2050, and 2070. And we have also helped the countries to establish data nodes where they can store and provide access to climate-related data. This has focused mainly in 5 countries: in Jamaica, Belize, St. Kitts, Suriname, and Antigua and Barbuda. We have also established a regional data node right here at the 5Cs.
The establishment of a data node at the 5Cs helps to further expand the center's regional clearinghouse, an extensive repository of data on climate change, which is accessible and used across the region.
In September of 2015, the Eugcca, along with the Climate Change Center, successfully procured and installed a national climate change data node in the country of St. Kitts and Nevis. A computer along with the necessary software was installed in the country of St. Kitts at the Department of Planning and Environment, and 5 staff members were successfully trained to use this software. This software now can be accessed by the Center's clearinghouse, which is the regional repository for climate change information in the region. So now that we have made this link to the country of St. Kitts and Nevis, their data node can be accessed from the center via our database management software. When they have gathered these information, be it vulnerability assessments, be it reports, environmental reports, website links, or any research that's done specific to St. Kitts and Nevis, pertaining to climate change, they will collect, they will organize it, enter the metadata, store it within this data node. This data node is then accessed by us and shared via our clearinghouse. Our clearinghouse can be accessed from the web link clearinghouse.caribbeanclimate.bz, and this is the web portal for the clearinghouse tool. The clearinghouse tool offers various sets of information can be found here. You have document collections, which is a bibliographical database. This houses whatever reports that we have collected from the Caribbean, not only St. Kitts, but most of the CARICOM countries. We also have climate modeling data. We have country profiles for each country that lists the national focal point for each country. We have geospatial data as well as projects.
Automatic weather stations, again, this is another major area of investment for the project. So we have invested $700,000 approximately to provide 54 automatic weather stations, and these have been distributed amongst the 16 countries, and the distribution criteria is normally the size of the country so that we cover as much geographic area as possible. The countries with the most stations are Cuba and Suriname, of course, and Belize also got a reasonable number of stations as well.
In terms of monitoring of the environment, efforts of the Eugcca focused on coral reef systems. Approximately $750,000 were spent to secure 5 coral reef early warning system stations.
Belize, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, and the Dominican Republic. There are 2 stations in Dominican Republic. Additionally, the 5 Seas access resources to provide a second station for Belize.
Additional funds were spent in excess of $650,000 on vulnerability and capacity assessments. And, as important, training was a significant aspect of the project.
In terms of training and capacity building, we have expended $800,000 over the last 4.5 years, where we have trained approximately 200 participants, and the areas that we focus on was mainly climate modeling, the conduct of vulnerability assessments. We trained people in installation of weather stations. We trained people in climate risk management through our Sea Coral tool. We have also focused on training in biophysical model, the uses of these to help predict what the adaptation issues will be. And we have recently assisted all the countries to generate capacity to prepare their INDCs.
One of the larger components of the program was to develop adaptation pilots in Barbados, Belize, Grenada, and St. Lucia.
The sectors that we focus on were mainly water, tourism, and agriculture. And here we have invested almost $2 million in adaptation pilots in the region. In Barbados, for example, we have assisted the Barbados Water Authority to use renewable energy to power their pumping station, and this has significantly reduced the cost of producing water. And we are hoping that this is reflected later on in the tariff that they charge to the consumers. A similar situation occurred in Belize, where we assisted the Belize Water Services Limited to use the solar systems to help power their reverse osmosis plant, and this has significantly reduced their cost of production by more than 50% for water.
The economy of Eugcca, an island in Belize, is based mainly on tourism, and residents and visitors alike on the island need potable water as well as at a cost that is affordable.
Roughly, we serve about 560 customers. 20% of these customers are commercial users and 80% of these customers are residential users. And roughly on a daily basis, we will serve to about 3,000 people in the high season. Well, we have seen a drop of about a third in our power usage. Photovoltaic system save the company money. In other words, it saves electricity basically, because this system runs mostly on electricity, high voltage electricity, unlike the other systems we have throughout Belize that are that deals with filtration, sand filtration, sedimentation, and those type of stuff. This system here, it takes high pressure and high pressure motors to build that high pressure so that reverse osmosis can happen. So that, in other words, makes this plant use a lot of current. And photovoltaic system now, since this has been put on hand, we have seen a reduction in our current usage. I'll say it by about a third of what it used to cost us to make water on an average basis.
In Grenada, we have worked along with the DFID program to provide 2 reverse osmosis systems on the smaller islands, that is for Carriacou and Petit Martinique, and those are powered again by solar panels. And so the model that we are using hopefully will provide a no-cost production of water over time to these small islands.
Solar systems were also given to the people of Dominica to provide power to 145 families. But finding ways to live with climate change was also a goal of the project, and this included assisting countries with developing adaptation strategies and action plans.
The focus of this area of our project was to assist the countries to basically prepare adaptation strategies and accompany those with action plans. These adaptation strategies were developed based on the vulnerability assessments, and this was then broadened to provide an impact assessment for the sector on a national basis. These impact assessments were used to generate an adaptation strategy and the accompanying action plan, and we have done that in 8 countries, and it has costed the project about $750,000 for these 8 adaptation strategies and action plans.
The Flowers Bank village in rural Belize lacks industry. However, a group of residents have decided to convert a locally grown plant, the cahoon tree, to a business venture that is supported by the 5 C's.
The idea was to look at an existing, what you may call a cottage industry, where the Flowers Bank Community Group produces cahoon oil the traditional way, but to take that to a commercial level where that oil has the potential to be a source of biofuels. There are other products, as we mentioned earlier, such as the charcoal and the meal that comes from the cahoon, because that is high protein value and it's suitable for chicken and animal feed. So that's the background. I understand where it came from as a renewable energy project.
In addition to the possibility of jobs, the input of the center also involves a business plan that makes projections for growth and improvements to the business management and processing.
The original facility, the existing one that the Flowers Bank Community Group uses to produce the oil the traditional way, was actually established with support through the Global Environment Facility Small Grants Program that the UNDP administers. The project also received funding from the Belize Rural Development Program at the same time. The value of that investment was somewhere in a range of about $250,000 Belize dollars. The investment that is being made by the center is about $300,000 US. and builds on that factory, taking it up to a level where it can produce or process 5 tons of cocoon nuts per day.
One of the first activities instated by the center was to get a revised process layout plan.
Intake of raw cocoon nuts and the additional storage, dehulling, drying, and then into the existing facility, but with the upgraded equipment where they can process. 2 processes will occur. You either do extraction using a screw press, which produces virgin cocoon oil, it's not cooked or anything, or they use the traditional method where they grate and cook it and get their cocoon oil for marketing. Same way. So one of the early products of the project, the Eugcca project that is, was the development of the site layout plans, and the community has those plans. At this time, there is a contractor at work putting the additional infrastructure in place. It is a small group of women who belong to the community group. We've seen 8, 9, 10 on occasion sitting there and dehulling the nuts. It is thought that once it goes to commercial scale, producing or processing 5 tons of nuts per day, it will offer employment to other people. This project has also helped them to develop a business plan so they can actually make projections for growth, improve management, improve the viability of the whole project for themselves.
It has been big changes from what we used to do manually. At first we used to go into the forest and break the cocoon in the forest. We used to wait until the cocoon mostly get dry in the forest, and then we go in there, take our stone and our axe, and we break the cocoon. But now we bring them out to the factory when they are green, and then we carry it through the process of drying them. And the whole system has changed. It has made it a lot easier than before. Because what really happened a couple of years back, people didn't want to fool with the cocoon because it was a lot of hard work. But with the building, with the equipment and everything, it has made it a lot easier.
Processing cocoon is one of the more environmentally sound uses of natural forests, in the sense that for harvesting and processing, the cocoon nuts need to be mature and fall from the trees themselves. So all these people use are nuts that have fallen and been collected and delivered to them. Therefore, as an adaptation mechanism or measure, it means you're not causing deforestation. In fact, you're using the forest in its natural state. And the center, being an agency to manage climate change, certainly finds that as one of the measures it can support.
In St. Lucia, we supported agroforestry to the tune of about $250,000, and here we are assisting the country to replant cocoa that was damaged by previous hurricanes within the forest sector, so that the farmers could have, apart from banana, they could have cash income being generated from cocoa. And this, we believe, will help them to adapt in future to the climate change impacts on their countries.
The broad benefit of this project is being realized by 130 farmers who were provided with over 11,000 cocoa and other food crop seedlings in 2014. Other benefits of the intervention include improved economic activity, as cocoa is a key cash crop in the Caribbean. So improving its cultivation can improve farmers' income. Cocoa is in high demand globally, and as markets become more stable, farmers will have a more reliable revenue stream. With smarter farming practices through the provision of extension services under the pilot project, farmers have a better understanding of sustainable farming, especially the damages caused by the slash and burn method on the hillsides, and also the benefits of cropping and agro-farming.
I think it's very exciting to see the type of innovative projects that the center is involved with, empowering our local Belizeans to work in an environmentally conscious manner that will help us in the future to mitigate some of the effects of climate change.
The objective of the project actually was to help countries to adapt to climate change and to provide support to meet the Millennium Development Goals. And that includes the water sector, the agriculture, agroforestry sectors, and tourism. And we believe that we have achieved the objectives of the project, and we have expended more than 90% of the resources that were provided by the EU. And so we feel that we have accomplished quite a bit in terms of what we set out to do in July of 2011.